Guys, happy Monday. We're actually going to continue this chapter. We're going to do a little bit more of chapter 10. We're going to go through it pretty slow, and we're definitely not going to do all of the lessons. So I think 10.2 we'll do 2 days of this lesson. Um, I think it should be pretty self-explanatory. I'm actually planning on, instead of a test, having a little project. It should be easy enough, and I think it'll be better in a test. That's just my plans. But today, 10.2, day one, we're going to talk about how to represent data. Um, so the student will be able to represent data plots using dot plots. Sorry, represent data using dot plots. Some of you may have heard these referred to as line plots. I'm sure you've seen these before. Representing data occurs in everything. You guys could see it in history, chemistry, biology, any science really. Um, so it applies more to real world, and I think that's what's awesome. A dot plot is a diagram that shows the frequency or how much of a data occurs on a number line. So if you see here, maybe hypothetically I took a survey and I asked you guys how many minutes do you spend eating breakfast? Okay, and then there's 6 students who said they don't spend any minutes eating breakfast. So these 6 dots represent that there's 6 people who said they picked 0. So 6 spend 0 minutes, and I'll abbreviate. And then if you look at the 1, there's 2 dots, which means there's 2 students who spend 1 minute a day eating breakfast. And 2, there's 3, so there's 3 students who spend 2 minutes. There's 5 students who spend 3 minutes, 2 who spend 4, 5 who spend 5. No one spends 6 minutes, and no one spends 7 minutes. And then 2 spend 8, 2 spend 9. We got 7 that spend 10, 4 that spend 11, and 1 that spends 12. So that's basically what a dot plot is these dots represent how many people or how many times this value occurs. Okay, so at 3, these many dots is how many times a student chose 3, for instance. Okay, and so part of the lesson today is going to be how to interpret these graphs. Hopefully that's self-explanatory. I assume that you guys have seen these kind of graphs or plots in the past. And then part of it will be creating these plots from data. So right here, preferred snack of choice. And so again, the way we interpret it, we have our value on the horizontal line. So instead of numbers, this time it's popcorn. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dots, which means 8 people prefer popcorn. Okay. Pretzels, next value. 1, 2, 3, 4 dots, which means 4 people prefer pretzels. Those people are crazy. M&M's. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots, which means 5 people prefer. I've never been able to draw that and symbol. M&M's, you guys get the idea. Twizzlers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still don't understand that. 6 people prefer Twizzlers. And finally, Kit Kats. Only 3 people? Yeah, this is rigged for sure. So that's how you... I was right, Kit. That's how you interpret dot plots. You just look at the values, and that's how many times... Or you look at the dots, and that's how many times this value occurred. Okay? So here's a good one. So this is basically 2 separate ones, so I'll split it apart. First off, exercise and H. Hopefully you guys can figure that one out. H stands for hours. So this is how many hours people said they exercise. I don't know if this is per day. Let's say per week, because 12 hours a day seems unreasonable. Well, I guess it could be if you're like professional swimmer or whatever. So we had one person say that they only exercise 0 times. And that's not the best. There's one person that said 0, so they don't exercise any hours. We had 3 people, and in between 0 and 2 would be 1. We had 3 people that exercise 1 hour a day. You had 3 people who exercise 2 hours a day. So right here, if we look at 4, skipping 3 right here, 0 people exercise 4 hours a day. 1 exercise 5, 0 6, 2 7, 0 8, 0 9, 0 10, 0 11, and then there's 2 that exercise for 12 hours a day. So there's no dots there. There's 0 dots, so that means 0. Alright, well, now I know this is definitely per day because I definitely have been guilty of playing 14 hours in a single day before. So one person played 0 hours of video games. And then all these are zeros. So there's no casual gamers. We're all either nothing or everything. So you got 2 people who practice 6 hours, yada yada. Hopefully you guys get the gist. How many dots is how many times that value occurred. Now, not particularly difficult. The table shows the number of hours a student works on schoolwork each day during the quarantine. Represent the data as a dot plot. And so we have the number of hours listed here. If we look, our smallest value is 0. So I'm going to put a 0 to start with. Because just like a number line, I probably want to go in order. The next biggest I see is 1. And then I see the largest is 7. And so I cheated, I made this graph just the right size. But I would go from the smallest value to the largest value. And then just go in order. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's hours of schoolwork. It's always nice to label. That's how many hours of schoolwork you guys have been doing. So now we got to count how many zeros. We got 1 and we got 2. So I'm going to make 2 dots on a dot plot. Now I'm going to cross these off so I know I've used them. We got 1, 2, 3 ones. So I'm going to make 3 dots on the 1. 2s, I got 1, 2. I also have 3 2s. Let's see. There's 1 3. There's 1 4. There's 1 5. Oh, 6 is in there somewhere. And then there's no 7s. Or there's 1 7, sorry. So I'm not sure which one's more beneficial, if this table's more beneficial or this graph. But I think this graph is pretty easy to see. More people spend 2 hours or less than are spending crazy amounts of times each day. So from this dot plot, I think it's pretty easy to see, hey, there's 2 people who spend no time a day. 3 people spend 1 hour, 3 people spend 2, 1 3, 1 4, 1 5, 0 6, 0 7, or 1 7. So dot plots are beneficial in showing us which happens more often. From a teacher standpoint, maybe I want to know if I'm assigning too much or too little, and so I create a dot plot to see how many hours you guys are spending, so I know if the majority of you are spending too much or too little time. So there's tons of different applications for these dot plots. Okay, let's do one more. Now they don't always have to be like number values. The table shows the grade each algebra student got. Represent the data using a dot plot. So again, this might be beneficial. I want to make sure that my class isn't too hard but not too easy. So let's just go from, I don't know, A, B, C, D, and F. Those are the possible grades you guys got. Well, let's count off the A's. There's 1, 2, 3 A's. So I'm going to fill in 3 dots. Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3 B's. There's, oh man, I'm not really creative. There's 3 C's. There's 1 D. And there's 2 F's. So we just created a dot plot. We should also label these values. Grade, received, something like that. Just because if you just had this right here, we know because we had the context of the table values in this dot plot, but if we just had that graph there, it might not be as meaningful to people. So that's dot plots. So hopefully this isn't too difficult. You're going to be asked to interpret dot plots and then create dot plots just like we did in this lesson. So with that, I'll see you guys tomorrow for 10.2 day 2.